to another episode of Inside Access Control sponsored by SIA. Very excited today to have KaraLynn Lewis with Office App join me. KaraLynn, thank you very much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really great to be with you.
Of course. So KaraLynn and I, it seems to be like forever friends at this point for the number of conversations we've had. But so KaraLynn wrote a great article in Unisu that we referenced last week in, 2 weeks ago in the Getting Back to Work newsletter. And then since then have had conversations and also just recently came out with your second follow-up article to that, which is also great, which we'll talk about this week. So, but in any event, well, through that though, you let me know a little bit about what you all are doing, super relevant to the access control space and back to this whole idea around the operating system. But before we jump into all that, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, your background, the company, and then we'll talk about some of the trends and what you all are up to.
Sure. Yeah, definitely cool to have a sort of modern day networking across the ocean and all this. But yeah, so I'm KaraLynn Lewis, and I'm currently Senior Partnerships Manager at Office App. So I actually am originally from your side of the pond, of course, so originally from Canada. And I am now based in Amsterdam with Office App by way of London. So it's been cool to sort of work in various industries in a few different countries. But I really got back into tech. It's always been an interest of mine. And I started working in tech kind of seriously in a sales role at a company called Binder, which is a marketing tech company here in Amsterdam. That was about 3 years ago. And it was really interesting because at the time, Binder didn't have a partnerships department at all. And I was a sales representative, but I personally found myself very interested in the kind of idea that if a customer called me looking for something that we didn't do, actually, I remember the first one was templates, which Binder now does very well, but very specific needs. I would always want to refer them to other companies that I knew in the space. And that was really where I saw an opportunity that Binder could really get involved more so in the technology ecosystem than they were. And around that time, Binder invested more in their technology ecosystem, which is how I got involved and became then the partnership manager for Binder. And that sort of led me to Office App. And Office App is, as a kind of introduction, a tenant experience platform, but it's really bridging that gap between the tenant experience and the more human side towards the actual smart building and more the technical side of things. And of course, to do that, Office App is the front end application, but then is built really on an integration platform. So integrating with all of the different smart building applications and technologies that might be present in any building ecosystem. And that's really what attracted me to Office App in the first place, is that there is such a focus on the ecosystem, which I think traditionally in technology has not been the case. A lot of companies, you know, have been in silos traditionally. They're their own thing. You have to buy the license, you have to download it off the CD-ROM or whatever, and that's always how it's been. So with the move towards more cloud software and also kind of interacting SaaS systems, Office App is really fitting perfectly into there, and that's why it's such an exciting company to be working for in this type of role.
Wonderful. And so when you talk about the human side of it, what do you mean? What is, because we've been talking about this idea around access care versus access control and the concept around what that means. So to you, what does the human side mean to a tenant experience technology solution?
Yeah, in a way, it's actually everything, I would say, because when you think about an employee going to work, I mean, our whole mission is for every employee to have a happy office life. So for them to actually enjoy going to work at the office. And me being from the more kind of integration side, sometimes I even can forget a little bit about this, but the smart building is a kind of technical web and network of all these technologies. But the employee doesn't really care about any of that, and they don't see any of it. They don't want to see any of it. It's just about, okay, how do I get into the office? How do I make sure that I have a space to hold my meeting? How do I make sure that I'm not hungry or cold or anything like this? And how do I make sure that I have a good time and that I'm having valuable experiences at work, whether it be professionally or socially or whatever. So really putting the experience and the focus on the end user's experience and thinking, okay, what do they need in a mobile app that allows them to have control over their environment, which we've seen through various research that is very important to the kind of modern day employee. And how do we bring the smart building, how do we make it useful for those smart building technologies to be in an employee's pocket? So I think merging, again, those two worlds makes it a lot better for the employee, and then also makes the investment that the building owner or the company has made in the smart building to make that actually useful to the employee.
Yeah, it's funny because it comes back to sort of the most animalistic human aspects of, hunger and warmth and the rest of it that,
Yeah.
People, I don't think you move out of the caves and it's still, we're just in different types of caves. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Well, but no, but all joking aside, I mean, technology, I think sometimes I'll use the analogy that we try to treat it like a hammer, where it's like, I need a hammer. So we bring a tool to like solve a problem, but it's actually, I think, more back to the way it enhances and helps the people the way that they live, so or work.
Yep.
So very interesting. So as you all look at access control, what's your view on it? How does it interact with your application? You'll have a good amount of people that watch this that are from that space. So what are you looking for from access control? Give a little bit of a taste of that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so for access control, it's a simple use case actually. So basically, it's mobile access. So you would use Office app to open the door. So instead of using a traditional key card, you use your phone to either tap against the reader, or you could actually open up Office app and tap a button that says open door. And actually, I would say this isn't necessarily a new concept, even in access control. So a lot of companies out there, HID, Salto, KS, for example, they all have mobile applications that open the door for you. So the difference and the extra service that we're offering is that you're integrating all of these different applications together, with access control being only an element of this broader application. And this is really useful, I think, to both the companies in general who want to have this unified application, but also to the access control companies as well. Because if you think about an access control app, I have a card, I just use it to open the door, and I don't necessarily want a mobile license or mobile app because I don't want another app on my phone. I already have a million, and I don't want to, delete Instagram or whatever just so I can open the door with something I can do with an old-fashioned key. But having it with the integrated with the mobile experience really increases that adoption. So basically, you can have those mobile credentials and give that extra boost on the user experience without having to build, maintain, and sell your own application. So that really helps both the user experience and then helps the access control companies deliver value to their customers through mobile credentials while keeping the focus on what they do best.
Yeah, so it's back to this idea we've been talking about, which is access control as a feature of a much larger use case in that world. And we didn't mention this before, but I could tell from the Canadian accent with what sounded like in the background was definitely not a North American sort of alarm that was going from a car, a siren on that side. So
that's Dutch.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just so people know where you're at in the company, if you would, also because this actually expands beyond just North America. You all are all over the place. So if you don't mind, like, where are you located? Where's the company operate? And where are you focused, if you would, on your primary expansion currently?
Sure. So we're headquartered in Amsterdam. That's where I'm based as well. And then we have offices in another city in the Netherlands called Den Bosch. Those our developers kind of live and work there. So it's nice to have a little other location to go to. And then we also have sales offices in Frankfurt and London at the moment. And we have specialized sales towards France and Italy as well, but they're also based in Amsterdam. And we do focus on the kind of rest of the world. Primarily, this is now in Europe. So that's we're a European company. We're still growing. So our primary focus is the European market. That's also a very broad market, of course. There's a lot of languages, a lot of cultures, a lot of countries. an interesting one to tackle for sure. And we have very significant interest and conversations, of course, going on in North America. You and I are obviously speaking, and APAC as well. But I would say it's kind of in the nature of a software company to be global in nature. That's what I've always found, especially being from the partnership side. You do have regional differences in markets, particularly around the building space, because for access control, of course, there's different players in different markets, some global, some regional. And every building is kind of different depending on the region. But in the software space, because you can go everywhere, everybody kind of does. So we're already seeing a lot of overlap from companies that are, maybe based in some regions, active in another, overseas, but have European customers, or European companies that have American customers. It's kind of all over the show, but that's definitely something that we are interested in on a partnership side as well as customer side because of our global ambitions.
Yeah. So if we're an access control company that has, based maybe in North America, but has operations over all over, you're a great opportunity for them to expand in that area, as well as for those that do listen to this that are outside of the United States. It's a good opportunity of somebody to partner that focuses in those regions. So no, I appreciate you saying that. If people want to find out more information, where's the best place to go?
I would say our website probably. So www.getofficeapp.com. That's our website. We can also be found, of course, on LinkedIn. On Google. I would say that's the best place. Also, personally, if you want to reach out to me, always happy to have questions, conversations. Of course, that's how we know each other. So it's great to get out in the market and just hear feedback and comments and see how we can help people, whether it's just kind of in the market or through our product.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I've enjoyed our brief and quick interactions that we've had most recently. So I'm excited to continue. And then maybe at some point when, everything gets back to a bit normal, we'll actually meet in person. So I look forward to that.
I hope
and thank
so.
you. Yeah, that would
Thank
be
you
great.
very much for having me. Thanks.
Happy to do it. Appreciate the time.